Part 33. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 321. There were quite a lot of people in the restaurant. The first floor was full of people, and everyone looked like they were not ordinary people. Of course, those who can come to the abyss to level up and gain experience need at least level 6 or above, so this can be said to be the place with the most powerful people besides Tianguan. When Zhao Chuandong came in with Suren, the originally noisy first floor suddenly became quiet. Everyone stopped their chopsticks and raised their hands to Zhao Chuandong. "Hello, City Lord Zhao. Why is City Lord Zhao free to go out to eat today? City Lord Zhao, we still have room here, would you like to come over and have something to eat together?" Suren tilted his head and glanced at Zhao Chuandong. He didn't expect that he, the city lord, would be so popular with the people here. It is probably also related to his generous personality. Zhao Chuandong cupped his hands and smiled. "Haha, don't worry about me, you can eat your own food. I'll bring a friend here to try our specialties." After Zhao Chuandong finished speaking, he said to Suren, Let's go to the second floor. I've asked the boss to leave a private room for us." "Good." Suren nodded and followed. "Hey, who is that kid behind City Lord Zhao? Do you know him? Why do you dare to come to the underground city at this age?" "I don't know, I haven't seen it. Maybe it's the child of a certain big boss who comes to see the world in advance. I don't think our City Lord Zhao will receive him personally. Forget it, leave him alone, eat quickly, and go to Ruyafang later to bet on 2. On the second floor of the restaurant, the decoration here is much more elegant than that on the first floor. It is not full and there are a few empty tables. The people here saw Zhao Chuandong saying hello before continuing to eat. Zhao Chuandong skillfully led Suren into a private room and sat down. Soon a waiter came in with a menu. "No need to order, just have one of the 3 special items, and the rest can be what I usually eat." "Okay, City Master Zhao, I will make arrangements for you immediately." After the waiter left, Zhao Chuandong ordered the people who followed him to sit down together, then looked at Suren and said, "Are you curious why people here don't seem to recognize you?" "No, I'm not a famous person." "Isn't it normal that they don't know me?" Zhao Chuandong was surprised when he heard Suren's words. Originally, he thought that someone like Suren, who became famous at a young age, would be somewhat arrogant. But judging from Suren's performance, he really didn't care about these things. "You are indeed different from others." After Zhao Chuandong praised him, he continued. "Actually, in our underground city, we know very little information about the outside world. It's not like there is internet or signal outside. Communication of information is basically by mouth. In addition, it is not easy for people who come here to upgrade, so many people stay here for several years. Most of the information you want to know about the outside world depends on word of mouth from outsiders." "No, then I just told President Wu this morning that I was coming to the dungeon." "How did you receive his message so quickly?" Suren was a little confused. It was impossible for Wu Zhenyang to come to the abyss before him, right? "Haha, you said this, there is actually a way to quickly send messages, but this method will not be used when encountering major events, because it is too expensive and ordinary people cannot afford it." Suren nodded. "One more thing, although you are powerful, everyone in the city should still try to value peace. As you can see in this abyss, the environment here is a bit depressing. If people stay in this environment for a long time, if the pressure is not released, they will become irritable. So people here are actually emotionally unstable. If they accidentally bump into you, please be lenient and teach them a lesson. Don't worry, as long as it's not too much, I won't kill you." "Thank you so much, Brother Suren." Zhao Chuandong bowed his hand towards Suren. It can be seen that he, the city lord, cares about the people in the city. It is no wonder that he is so respected. You may be wondering, why don't they go back outside to recuperate for a while before coming back because they are so stressed? Seeing so many fresh lives passing away in front of him, but he was helpless. No one could understand the pain. But there are still some things that I don't understand, and I don't understand why Zhao Chuandong wants to protect them. City Lord Zhao, if you let them go like this, aren't you afraid of them getting into trouble? The few people who followed him quickly got up when they saw this. Looking at the man in front of him, Suren was a little moved. They are all warriors who died to protect Windless City and our Dragon Kingdom from being invaded by monsters in the abyss. Zhao Chuandong is the person who cares most about his subordinates among the people he has ever met. If it doesn't affect your mission this time, I hope Brother Su you can kill more abyss monsters, so that maybe a few fewer people will die this year. As long as they don't cause a huge disaster, I will try my best to help them and prevent them from suffering too much. This is the only way he can repay them who are still alive. Brother Zhao, we are all from the Dragon Kingdom. As long as I can help you, I will never refuse. You don't have to do this. It has been 5 years since I took over Windless City. In these 5 years, as many as 11,237 people have died under the city wall in order to protect Windless City. Upon hearing Suren's question, Zhao Chuandong's eyes were empty, as if he was lost in memories. But they always feel very uncomfortable. So few people travel between the two places frequently, and there are few entertainment venues in the city. Actually, the main issue is cost. The teleportation arrays that go back and forth here cost tens of millions of money each time. How can ordinary people be willing to spend this money? Just think of me, Zhao Chuandong, as begging you. Hearing Suren's call, Zhao Chuandong felt much relieved. Eating, drinking and gambling have become the only way to relieve stress here. After Zhao Chuandong finished speaking, he stood up and bowed to Suren. City Lord. Looking at the person in front of him, Suren was in awe. Thank you Brother Su. When had they ever seen their city lord begging for help like this? They knew it was for their own good. After all, we are not relatives, so he, a city lord, doesn't need to be so lenient, right? He can clearly remember how many people died, which shows that he really feels sorry for those who died. After hearing this, Suren roughly understood the basic layout of the Abyss dungeon. Speaking of this, Zhao Chuandong sighed slightly. In my heart, every one of them is a hero. Zhao Chuandong forced a smile, looked at Suren and said, if you have any use for my place in the future, just give me your orders. As for prostitution, it's strictly prohibited here. I won't care about the other 3. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. It is indeed admirable that he can let go of an 8th-level professional and a city lord to seek help from a young man like him. I can't do anything for them after they die except mourning, but while they are still alive, I can at least make them live a little happier, and that's enough. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 322. Brother Zhao, please sit down and talk. I'm embarrassed even if you are standing. Yes, yes, yes. After several people sat down, Suren asked. You should know what materials I need, right? Wu Zhenyang could inform them that he was coming, and Wu Zhenyang would probably tell them what Suren needed in advance. This is natural. Zhao Chuandong nodded and said. The evil heart usually only explodes in the boss-level monsters in the area ruled by the evil king. However, each of these monsters is around level 800 and is extremely difficult to kill. Well, but it's certainly not a big problem for you. But these boss-level monsters are generally scattered. There may only be one for hundreds of kilometers. If you want to collect 80 of them, it will probably take a long time. Do you have their specific locations? Suren is not afraid to spend time, as long as there are enough quantities and locations. According to the information we have, I can help you provide you with the locations of 60 monsters. You can only find the remaining 20 monsters by yourself. But these men of mine are relatively familiar with the areas ruled by the evil king, and they can guide you. The people who followed Zhao Chuandong nodded towards Suren. As the city lord, Zhao Chuandong needs to stay in the city to take charge of the overall situation, so naturally he cannot take Suren to do the task. You should be careful not to step into other areas. What we in Windless City mainly explore and deal with are the territories ruled by the evil king. We don't know much about the areas where the other King of Pain, King of Desire and King of Destruction are located. If you enter by mistake, you may get lost in them. What levels are these 4 kings of the abyss? Although Suren came to the abyss for the first time, he had heard about their reputation in books. But I've never heard of levels or anything like that. The King of Evil was at level 880 a few years ago. He has rarely been out and about in recent years. I don't know the specific level. If you encounter it, you have to be small. Halfway through Zhao Chuandong's words, he suddenly remembered that Suren could kill a 9th level professional with one blow, and that the King of Evil was among the targets of this mission. Maybe Suren would be eager to meet the evil king so as not to have to find it himself. It's okay. If it encounters you, there will only be 3 kings left in the abyss. In addition to paying attention to monsters and complex environments, you also have to guard against other professionals. Perhaps because he was afraid that Suren would not understand it when he first arrived, Zhao Chuandong explained it in detail. Strictly speaking, we haven't really entered the abyss here. To get to the abyss, we still need to travel for a day and pass through a teleportation array before we can enter. And in the abyss, every country has a teleportation array connection, so you will enter the same abyss area. In the abyss, even if you die in it, as long as no one sees it, no one will know who killed you. Therefore, your relatives will have no chance to avenge you because they don't know whether the murderer is a human or a human being. Monster. In the abyss, there is no difference between humans and monsters. Sometimes for the sake of profit, the people you meet may be scarier than the monsters. Although you are not afraid of those people because of your strength, it is easy to hide from open guns and hard to defend against hidden arrows. You must be extra careful when meeting other people and don't be careless. These brothers of mine are the people I trust the most. You can trust them completely. With them leading the way, and with your strength, there should be no danger along the way. At this time, there was a knock on the private room door. City Lord Zhao, your meals are ready. Several waiters came in carrying plates of exquisite dishes. City Lord Zhao, if you need anything, please tell us. Okay, you go down, thank you for your hard work. After several waiters left, Zhao Chuandong pointed to the 3 plates of dark-looking things placed in the middle and said, "This is a delicacy unique to the abyss. It is called the 3 treasures of the abyss. Each portion is valuable. And you can gain a little experience after eating it. Brother Suren, please try it quickly." Suren nodded, picked up a chopstick and tasted it casually. It tastes a bit like black fungus, very crispy, but much more fragrant than black fungus. As for the increase in experience, Suren didn't feel it, probably because he had full experience and didn't change jobs. However, something that can provide experience to them at 6th, 7th, or even 8th rotation is indeed not an ordinary thing. This also shows that Zhao Chuandong is very sincere about Suren's arrival. Within the next half hour, several people chatted while eating, most of them talking about things in the abyss. U5, after you enter the abyss, everything will follow the command of Brother Suren. You only need to be responsible for leading the way to find those monsters. Do you understand? And this is already the fastest upgrade in the city. The entire city is surrounded by strong and tall walls. Standing on the wall and looking around, there is endless darkness at the end. Xiao Dao, you go take Mr. Su around the city, and we will buy the necessary supplies. It's like a beast opening its mouth and waiting for its prey to come to you. Despite their young age, how dare they be rude in words? Su Ren shook his head. However, the abyss is full of dangers, and their level does not rise quickly. I understand, City Lord, don't worry. Well, I'll go check out. You take Brother Su around the city and buy all the things you need to buy. Don't miss anything. I just don't know how Zhao Chuandong persisted, and it seemed that his mentality was not affected in any way. When these people saw Su Ren, most of them would look at him in surprise, but no one would take the initiative to talk to him. There were not many people on the street, and most people seemed to be in a hurry. Mr. Su, we can set off at this time tomorrow. If you need anything, please tell me and I will take you to buy it. After eating and drinking, Zhao Chuandong stood up and cupped his hands and said. After 1 year, Yan Quan, who had been upgraded the fastest, had only reached level 10. Su Ren also had a general understanding of the city, or the city to be precise. He has nothing to buy, and the only thing he has to do now is to complete the job transfer as soon as possible. Several people still dare not call Su Ren brothers like Zhao Chuandong. After all, this is a terrifying existence that can kill a rank 9 expert with one sword. Xiao Dao took Su Ren around the city. Windless City, as its name suggests, is really windless. Xiao Dao asked from the side. After Zhao Chuandong finished speaking, he nodded to Su Ren again and stood up to leave. In this windless city, he is considered a master. If it weren't for the lack of sunlight, it would be a good place to escape the heat and cold. Unlike the outside world, almost everyone here carries weapons on their backs. Their goal is naturally to upgrade to level 7 to level 100, and then transfer to level 8 to complete their life transformation. Okay, Brother Quan. As Xiao Dao left the restaurant, the sky outside was still gray, neither hot nor cold. Brother Su, I still have things to do. My brothers will help you on your behalf for the rest of the journey. Yan Quan ordered the one who seemed to be the smartest among them. Master Su, I will take you to see the magnificent scenery of our windless city. You come with me. From the conversation just now, Su Ren also knew the names of these people. The leader of the team was Yan Quan, who was level 7 to 55. The other 4 people are also around level 7 to 50. If you stay in this place for a long time, you may really have mental problems. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 323. The next day, the group was ready to set off. Although there is no distinction between day and night in this abyss, everyone still needs to sleep at night. And the time they chose to set off was not at this time in the evening. According to Captain Yan Quan, there is a relatively safe time to travel in the abyss, which is similar to the day and night in the outside world. It is safer to travel during the day, and the chance of encountering large-scale abyss monsters is relatively small. The time at night is relatively dangerous. This is when abyss monsters are active, and wandering around may lead to attacks by a large number of abyss monsters. When Su Ren and his party arrived at the East City Gate, the gate had not yet opened and they had to wait for a while. Dozens of teams have already gathered at the city gate, and it seems that they are all preparing to go out to kill monsters and upgrade. When they saw Yan Quan and the others, several teams took the initiative to say hello. After all, Yan Quan and the others followed Zhao Chuandong, and Yan Quan seemed to be one of the captains of Wuifeng City's law enforcement team. It's normal for these people to know them. Captain Yan, are you going out of the city to hunt today? Hunting is the term here, which means going out to kill monsters. Well, the city lord has given some tasks. Yan Quan nodded and said nothing in detail. Who is this little brother? Do you want to take him out hunting? The people waiting here looked at Suren in Yan Quan's team with somewhat stunned expressions. Even if you dare to come to the abyss at this age, if you still dare to leave the city, isn't this looking for death? Sorry, no comment. Yan Quan did not explain, but raised his wrist and looked at the time on his watch. Ha ha ha, if someone wants to die, you don't care who they take out to die. A man with a cut on his face walked over with a dozen people. This man first glanced at Suren, then looked past Suren and looked at Yan Quan. Everyone could see that the other person's eyes were full of hostility. Are Zhu Deong and the others also leaving the city? Hey, maybe they followed Yan Quan on purpose because they knew they were leaving the city. I think these two are enemies who are extremely jealous when they meet. The others looked at the two teams and talked in low voices as if they were watching a good show. In this abyss, for them, watching theater is also a way to relieve stress. It would be best if both sides could fight immediately. Anyway, it's not a big deal for them to watch the fun. Zhu Deong, are you not convinced when I punish you? Yan Quan looked at this person with disgust in his eyes. If Zhao Chuandong hadn't punished him too severely, he would have driven such people out of Windless City long ago. Zhao Chuandong is a good person in all aspects, but he is too kind, which makes some people who are ungrateful become even worse. Zhu Deong led some people to cause trouble in the street and injured 5 or 6 people. After Yan Quan sent people to capture them, he was punished with 100 canes. Yan Quan couldn't stand it, so he added 100 more privately, which led to the enmity between the two. Tisk tisk, your Captain Yan is one of the law enforcement captains. How dare I look down on you? If you give me more punishment next time, I'm afraid I, Zhu Deong, will be beaten to death by you. I see, you are more majestic than City Lord Zhao, but I don't know when you will become the City Lord of Wuifeng City. Zhu Deong got angry after a while, and everyone saw that he was serious. But what disappointed them was that Yan Quan was not angry, but replied calmly. I don't have to worry about whether I am worthy of being a city lord or not, but if I catch you breaking the law again next time, I will definitely punish you severely. Yan Quan, let's wait and see. Zhu Deong squinted his eyes and glanced at Yan Quan and his group. When he saw Suren in the team looking at him without any scruples, he said angrily for no reason. Little brat, what are you looking at? Yan Quan has Zhao Chuandong behind him, and his own strength is not bad, so he is a little afraid that a little kid dares to stare at him like this. It made him feel underestimated. As soon as these words came out, Suren looked confused. You have eyes on me, why do you care where I look? I'm crazy. The typical thing about this guy is that he has nothing to do with Yan Quan and wants to take his anger out on himself, who seems so weak. But he betrayed the wrong person. Suren was not afraid of anyone. If Zhao Chuandong hadn't told him to value peace as much as possible in the city, Suren could have slapped him to death. Okay, it seems like everyone in Wuifeng City dares to talk to me like this. Zhu Deong's face was gloomy at this time, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Just when the two sides were at war, the sound of chains twisting the wheel was heard, and the huge city gate began to rise upward with a rattling sound. The city gate is open. Someone shouted, and the dozens of waiting teams gathered here saw that there was no good show, and they all walked outside, and soon disappeared into the haze. Master Su, let's go. Yan Quan said to Suren. Suren nodded, and a group of 6 people walked outside. Brother Yang, they are gone. One of Zhu Deong's men whispered. I'm not blind. Do you know who that little brat is? I will make him regret coming to Windless City. Zhu Deong glanced coldly at the backs of Suren and others leaving, and then asked the younger brother behind him. We don't know him either. We only know that this person came yesterday, and that city lord Zhao personally received him. Huh? Zhao Chuandong received it personally. Zhu Deong was a little surprised. It seems that this kid's identity is not simple. No wonder this bitch Yan Quan wants to lead the team out in person. Brother Yang, what do you think they are doing out there? That boy is only 20 or so. Is there anything that he needs to come to the abyss to collect in person? You ask me? Who the hell am I going to ask? I don't care what he does or what his identity is. When he comes to the abyss, he has to be coiled up by me even if he is a dragon, and he has to be laid down by me even if he is a tiger. Speaking of this, Zhu Deong felt cruel. Follow them and find an opportunity to kill them. In the abyss, there are many people who will never return, and no one will investigate anything. Went and didn't come back. That means you can't come back in this life. Therefore, it is normal for so many people to die in the abyss. When the dozen or so people following Zhu Deong heard this, they didn't show much abnormality. Obviously, they had done this kind of thing before, but no one knew about it. Suren and others still don't know that they are being targeted. On the way, Yan Quan explained to Suren the grudge between him and Zhu Deong. He said that Zhu Deong was very vindictive and asked Suren to be careful about him. Suren didn't take it seriously to such a small person. Looking at the heavy fog in the sky, Suren was more concerned about how long it would take to complete the job transfer task. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 324. Along the way, in addition to heavy fog, the roads were also bumpy and muddy. Therefore, everyone's traveling speed was much slower. Yan Quan took out a map from time to time to look at something, and only continued to set off after confirming that the route was correct. Yan Quan explained as he walked. Our place is called the peripheral area of the abyss. As for the specific size, no one knows at all. There was once a rank -9 expert who had mastered extreme speed. He left the city and flew eastward for 7 days and 7 nights without seeing the end of the abyss. So, the abyss is also called the endless abyss. If someone who doesn't know the route here wanders in randomly, 90% of the time he will get lost here and never get out. Suren said a little strangely. 7 days and 7 nights? Isn't this abyss much larger than Blue Star? Yan Quan nodded. That's right. It's better to say it's underground. It's an independent world. It's a world many times larger than Blue Star. I believe you also noticed it when you came from the outside world via the teleportation array. You stayed in the teleportation space for at least 3 minutes, right? Suren also nodded when he heard this. He has sat in the teleportation array between cities and arrived almost instantly. He even thought that the teleportation array from the outside world to Windless City was broken for so long. Now it seems that it is because the distance between the two places is too far. Several people walked while chatting, because the routes they took were all familiar roads. So there are very few abyss monsters on the road. Occasionally, 1 or 2 will be quickly eliminated by a few people. It can be seen that they cooperate very well, and their movements are not sloppy at all, and they are completed in one go. By the way, Mr. Su, can you really kill a rank 9 expert with one sword? I'm not doubting what you mean, I'm just curious. Xiao Dao, who took Suren to visit Windless City yesterday, suddenly asked. Xiao Dao, what are you talking about? Be on your guard. Yan Quan shouted angrily. Captain, I'm just curious. You know I also use a knife. I just want to learn something. Shut up. Don't you, the city lord, know Mr. Su's strength? Do you need to question it? Yan Quan was afraid that Suren would be angry, so he got angry. Because it is disrespectful to question such a strong man in public. And every strong person has his own temper. If you, a rank 7 person, Dare to question others, it will not be unfair if others slap you to death. Yan Quan wanted to say more, but Suren stopped him and said, "It's okay, Captain Yan, just calm down and watch the road." After Suren finished speaking, he looked at the knife and said with a smile, "I can indeed kill a 9th level professional with one sword, but I can't teach you anything about sword skills, because I only need one sword to kill." This is not because Suren is pretending, because it is the fact. No one can catch his blow. He couldn't teach others sword skills or anything like that. In terms of skills alone, Xiao Dao may be better than Suren in this aspect. After all, people really rely on knives to survive. Several others craned their necks, expecting to hear some valuable lessons, but were disappointed. However, they were relieved to hear Suren admit it personally and see his confident words. After all, their source of information was through the city lord, and they had never seen Suren use his sword. They didn't have much confidence to lead such a teenage boy into the abyss. Xiao Dao's question was actually a doubt in their minds. After temporarily eliminating the doubts in their hearts, the group of people hurried on a lot faster. The day passed quickly. Since there is no distinction between day and night, several people can only check the time through their watches. Yan Quan glanced at the surrounding environment. They were now in a mountain col, surrounded by two black peaks, and could not see what was on the mountain. "Let's rest here for the night. According to this process, we will reach the entrance of the teleportation array in another 3 hours tomorrow." "Good." Yan Quan serves as a guide, so Suren naturally listens to him on all aspects of the journey. Seeing this, Yan Quan's affection for Suren deepened. If Suren didn't obey his arrangements because of his strength, he really didn't know what to do. Fortunately, Suren didn't express any other opinions along the way and just followed them quietly. Several people quickly set up tents, and Yan Quan sent people to patrol the surroundings to make sure there was no danger before returning. This place is very quiet, except for the sound of a few people walking around and talking. There is no other sound. It's not like camping outside where you need to make a fire. Yan Quan said that the bright light of the fire would attract nearby abyss monsters. Although Suren was not afraid of monsters, it was still troublesome. After all, everyone needed to take turns sleeping. Lying in the tent, Suren seemed to be resting with his eyes closed, but he was actually communicating with Steel in the pet space. This guy is an abyss demon, and he was once ordered by the King of Evil to hunt down Suren. Now it can finally come in handy. Although it seems that Yan Quan and others will not harm him, Suren cannot completely trust them and must be on guard against others. In a place like this, it is possible for brothers to turn against each other, let alone people they have just met for a day. Compared to them, Steel is obviously more reliable. As his pet, it is impossible for him to lie to him. "Master, what they said is almost all correct and they did not lie to you. But it will be a little troublesome for you to find the King of Evil. I don't even know how big the entire abyss is, and I haven't been to many areas. The King of Evil has no fixed abode, and no one knows where it is unless it shows up on its own initiative. But when you reach the inner layer of the abyss, you can take the initiative to release the news of your arrival. The Evil King originally issued a pursuit order for you. If it knows that you are in the abyss, it might take the initiative to kill you." How to send a message? Suren didn't understand. Is there still a media organization in this abyss? My master doesn't know. Except for some low-level monsters, most of the monsters in the abyss have very high IQs. You just need to walk all the way, don't kill the monsters you meet, leave them alive, and let them tell you a message. Just say that you are the person who was ordered to be hunted down by the King of Evil. After hearing this, they will take the initiative to help pass on the message. As long as the Evil King's subordinates know this, they can be attracted. But you can't show too much strength when the time comes, otherwise I'm afraid it won't dare to come. After Steel finished speaking, he looked at Suren expectantly. In order to express itself, it thought of this method after a lot of thinking. Well, that's right. If it succeeds this time, I'll give you a big credit. Hearing this, Steel was ecstatic. Thank you, Master. Steel will do his best to help Master kill the evil king. Just as Suren and Steel were discussing their plan, a beautiful song came from not far from where the group of people were camping. Yan Quan and others in another tent couldn't help but change their expressions when they heard the singing. It's broken. Why is this thing here? I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 325. Yan Quan and others quickly walked out of the tent, first glanced in the direction of the singing, then came outside the tent where Suren was, and lowered their voices. Master Su, are you asleep? Suren heard the noise, stood up and walked out of the tent, wondering. What's wrong? What happened? Master Su, there may be trouble now. Before Yan Quan could explain, Suren also heard the singing. Seeing their solemn expressions, Suren knew that they had most likely encountered some kind of monster. Otherwise, who would be able to sing here without being sick? Master Su, this song is made by a monster called a human-faced night owl. They must have discovered that we are gathering our companions through singing to besiege us. Human-faced night owl? Is it very powerful? Yan Quan's face was solemn. 1 or 2 is nothing. These things are only less than level 600. We can kill them at will. But as soon as these things appear, they appear in groups. There are at least tens of thousands of them in one group, and they are not afraid of death. There is no way to drive them away except killing them all. Human-faced night owls are the monsters we least want to encounter when walking in the abyss. If most people encounter them, they will basically be eaten alive. Originally, such monsters are not seen outside the abyss. I don't know why they came out of the inner layer of the abyss today. Suren looked very calm after hearing this. It's okay, I'm here. Then Mr. Su, what should we do now? Should we pack up and evacuate first? Yan Quan and others were afraid of this kind of monster from the bottom of their hearts, so they were a little undecided for a while. Once a group of several hundred people encountered a group of night owls with human faces, and in the end only a dozen people were left alive. This also made the people in Windless City intensify their fear of this monster. Wait a minute. Didn't you say they are gathering their companions? Just let them finish gathering and kill them together, lest they come one by one to disturb our rest. Hearing Suren's words, Yan Quan and others looked at each other, not knowing what to do. To be able to say this is either ignorance or absolute self-confidence. In their opinion, Suren should be the latter. They also hope that Suren is the latter, otherwise when the human-faced night owls are assembled, no one will be able to leave today. It was a few kilometers away from where Suren and his party were camping. A thin figure flashed quickly in the heavy fog, and after a while, it arrived at a camp. Brother Yang, good news. Great news. When Zhu Daong heard the shouting, he walked out of the tent and frowned. What's the good news? Did your kid pick up an artifact? No, it's about Yan Quan and the others. The thin figure took a breath and said. Brother Yang, didn't you ask me to investigate their movements? What do you think I found? If you have something to say, speak it quickly, and if you have any farts, say it quickly. Zhu Daong kicked him impatiently. This person didn't care, but smiled and said. Yan Quan and the others encountered a human-faced night owl. I was hiding in the dark and heard the song of the human-faced night owl, which almost scared me to death. So I ran back and told you as soon as possible. Human-faced night owl? Are you sure? Zhu Daong was a little surprised. He still knows the range of activities of this thing, and it is basically impossible for it to appear outside the abyss. Unless something big happens. I'm 100% sure, it's definitely a night owl with a human face. After hearing what his younger brother said, Zhu Deong squinted his eyes and thought for a moment, then sneered twice. Haha, that's good news indeed. That's good. I don't have to kill them personally. Those human-faced night owls will eat them till their bones are left. After sneering, Zhu Deong ordered everyone, bring out the camp and retreat 20 kilometers. Don't let that ghost get to us. They are still afraid of night owls with human faces. Even if it is not the time for safe activities, others have no objection to Zhu Deong's order. They can still deal with other monsters if they encounter them. At worst, they will have to spend some energy to deal with them. If you encounter a night owl with a human face, you can basically wait for death. Around the camp of Suren and his party, there were more and more singing, and they became louder and louder. The entire camp was now surrounded, and they couldn't leave now even if they wanted to. Yan Quan and others looked nervously at the foggy sky with their weapons on guard. Suren calmly brought a stone and sat down on it. Mr. Su, in addition to summoning companions, this thing singing can also cause hallucinations. Be careful. Listening to the continuous singing around him, Suren also found it a bit annoying. The singing was actually pretty good. Suren was originally going to enjoy it, but it was just too noisy. Ice Dragon King, Poison Dragon King, Nightmare, go and shut them up. Don't kill them all, just keep one. It was so boring on the road that Suren thought it would be good to catch one and use it as a music player. After Suren finished speaking, 3 pet beasts appeared from the sky. The sudden appearance of 3 pet beasts startled Yan Quan and others who were on guard. One person even shook his hand and threw a big fireball directly on the huge body of the Ice Dragon King. However, it was just a burst of white smoke and did not cause much damage. This, what are these 2 things? Are these 2 dragons? Several people screamed, their eyes full of horror. It popped out suddenly, and its size was a bit too scary. As for the Nightmare, it was too dark and due to the heavy fog, they didn't see it. Boy, what are you yelling about? You hit your brother Long. Do you believe it or not, Brother Long, I will blow you to death with a breath of cold air. The Ice Dragon King glanced dissatisfied at the man who had just hit it. Suren glanced at it and said calmly. Stop talking nonsense, these night owls with human faces have almost gathered. Kill them quickly. Yes, Master, I'll go right away. The Ice Dragon King changed his posture, nodded respectfully towards Suren and then flew high into the sky. Master, Master. The few people who were still in panic looked down at Suren who was sitting there. Master Su, these 2 dragon-like monsters are your pet beasts. Suren nodded. Well, that ice dragon likes to joke, don't mind it. No. It's okay. How dare they mind, this is too scary. They clearly saw that a big fireball thrown by their brother only emitted white smoke on the dragon. After all, they are also professionals who are around level 7 to 50. I am afraid that they are not able to break through the defense. They really couldn't imagine what level of pet the ice dragon was. And there is more than one such pet beast, and there is a dragon with a green light next to it. No wonder the city lord said that Mr. Su can kill a rank 9 expert with one sword. Such a terrifying giant dragon is his pet beast. It seems that it is not incomprehensible that he can kill a strong person of rank 9 with one sword. Now, Yan Quan and others show more respect for Suren. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 326. Ouch. A dragon roar came from high in the sky. Then the heavy fog in the sky quickly condensed into ice slag and fell to the ground. The temperature on the ground also dropped a lot. The song of the human-faced night owl also turned into a shrill cry at this time. Everyone looked up and saw that because the heavy fog in this area had condensed into ice slag, their field of vision became much wider. I saw that the sky was densely filled with night owls with human faces flying with their wings spread out. Snapped. A night owl with a human face frozen into ice fell down. Ba bang bang. Then it rained ice cubes from the sky. Thousands of human-faced night owls kept smashing to the ground. Yan Quan and others had to put away their weapons and take out shields to surround Suren and start to resist these human-faced night owls that were frozen into ice. In fact, ice cubes falling from such a height would not cause any harm to them, but Suren was sitting there without any protection, and they did not dare to let Suren be disturbed. At this time, the only sound left between heaven and earth was the sound of the corpse of a human-faced night owl falling to the ground. Some were frozen into ice blocks, some were poisoned to death, and some fell to the ground with only debris left on the ground. Suren reached out and picked up the body of a night owl with a human face that was still intact and took a look at it. This thing was about the size of an eagle, covered in jet black feathers, and had a pair of sharp claws, but it had a human female face on its head. The two combined look very weird. No wonder it is called a night owl with a human face. Looking at the faces being smashed around Yeziao, Yan Quan and others were already numb. Originally they thought they were going to be confessed here today, and they were already prepared to fight to the death, but it turned out that their worries were unnecessary. There is no danger at all. If your mobile phone has a signal, you can even take out 2 photos and send them to Moments. A few minutes later, the mountain Col where they were was already filled with corpses of human-faced night owls. Even the way out was blocked by water, and they were surrounded in the middle. At this time, the crowd of human-faced night owls in the sky were almost dead. The remaining ones were still charging at the 3 pet beasts without fear of death. It can be seen that these things really will not give up until they die. It is estimated that there is no word of fear in their minds. No wonder professionals walking in the abyss are afraid of this thing. Most people really can't stand this kind of lifeless attack method. The knot is over. Yan Quan and others glanced at the piles of corpses around them, and the shock in their eyes never stopped. Tens of thousands of night owls with human faces were all killed in less than 10 minutes. Master, fortunately, I have fulfilled my destiny and killed them all. The one you wanted to catch alive was also caught. The Ice Dragon King shrank in size and returned to Suren. The dragon's claws also held a night owl with a human face that kept screaming and flapping. Yan Quan and others looked at the human-faced night owl in astonishment, and then looked at Suren, with an inexplicable meaning flashing in their eyes. How are you doing, Mr. Su? Although this monster has a human face, it doesn't look like that, right? With Mr. Su's strength, what kind of woman doesn't have him? Several people were thinking crazily in their minds. Of course, they dare not express these thoughts. Seeing the strange looks in their eyes, Suren had a black line across his forehead, and he knew they were thinking wrongly. He originally wanted to catch one and use it as a walkie-talkie, but now, apart from howling and roaring, this thing has long lost the moving singing voice just now. Forget it, kill them and let their family go away neatly. Master Su, actually. Stop. Suren raised his hand to stop him and said, you are wrong. I just think its singing is good. After hearing this, several people showed expressions that said, we are all men, we understand. Suren didn't bother to explain when he saw this. After all, everyone tends to their first impression. Once they figure it out, explanations are useless. Suren took back the 3 pet beasts, and then looked at the corpses of night owls with human faces piled nearby. If you have time, pick up all the equipment and materials they exploded. I asked you to lead the way this time, and I didn't give you any guide fees. These things will be used as your guide fees. Huh? Really? Several people couldn't believe it. They didn't think about this at first, because they were all killed by Suren's pet beast. Being able to save their lives is pretty good for them. Suren actually wanted to give them all the materials and equipment, which were tens of thousands of night owls with human faces. Jingshen, don't disturb Mr. Su's rest. Let's sort things out after we return to the city. Okay, hee. Oh my god, I didn't notice just now. I seem to have been promoted to level 10. I was lucky enough to be promoted to level 10 after a year of hard work. I didn't expect that I was promoted to level 10 in just a few minutes. It's been more than 2 hours. Yan Quan and the others should have been eaten by the human-faced night owl, right? Because high-level professionals kill monsters, low-level professionals cannot gain experience. Brother Quan. Zhu Daong looked ahead and sneered again. A few people had just made a lot of money, so naturally they wouldn't have any complaints. Although the drop rate of equipment materials is low, they cannot support such a large quantity. After Suren finished speaking, he looked at the tent. Fortunately, the quality was good and it was not damaged. Xiao Dao, you and I will watch the night before, and the three of you will watch the night after. Okay, Brother Quan. Brother Quan, are we getting rich? Zhu Daong stood on a bare rock and looked ahead. This shows that Suren's level is lower than them, but they don't think about it specifically. The equipment and materials around here add up to at least 1,000 copies. Brother Quan, I even rose to level 10. This is definitely a huge wealth income for them. It is dozens of kilometers away from the camp of Suren and his party. Upon hearing this, Yan Quan hurriedly looked at his level, and then exclaimed. The city lord is right, it is our opportunity to follow Mr. Su on this trip. Yan Quan finished arranging the order of taking turns to watch tonight, and then let a few people go to sleep and rest. Several people quickly cleaned up the corpses of human-faced night owls around them, and then began to pick up equipment and materials. Brother Yang, can't we find out if we go and see it tomorrow? This is basically no different from picking up money. The excitement on Xiaodao's face has not faded yet. After Suren entered the tent, excitement shone in the eyes of Yan Quan and others. It took almost 2 hours for a few people to pick up all the equipment and materials. Yan Quan knew what he wanted to say. They had never seen so much money before. Humph, if you fight with me, you deserve to die here. I didn't do it myself, so I took advantage of you. Call me if you need anything. I'm going to bed. Haha, I'm going to pick it up, it's all money. Several people were immersed in joy, but they never thought about why they could gain experience by teaming up with Suren. I'm not short of money. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 327. There were no more accidents throughout the night. Suren got up and walked out of the tent. The corpses of human-faced night owls blocking the area had been cleared away. Unlike in the outside world, these corpses were not refreshed and still existed after one night. Good morning, Mr. Su. Yan Quan saw Suren looking at those people in a daze, and took the initiative to explain. All the monsters in the abyss are different from the outside world. They will not be refreshed even if they die. No one knows why. Suren nodded slightly, he knew a little bit. It is estimated that this abyss is not on the blue star at all, and these monsters are not digitized by the Sky and Sky Empire. Brothers, pack your things and get ready to go. Yan Quan greeted a few people and began to collect tents and other things. There is no heavy fog today and the view is much clearer. But the sky was still gray, and it was still day and night. Half an hour later, the group of people who had packed their things continued on their way. Another hour later, Zhu Daong and others slowly appeared here. Looking at the mountains of corpses in front of him, Zhu Daong sneered. I didn't realize that those guys still had some strength and were able to kill so many night owls with many faces, but whatever they dropped belongs to us. Speaking of which, I really have to thank them. But before he finished laughing, the younger brother who went to explore the road ran out in a panic. Brother Yang, we didn't see the bodies of Yan Quan and the others inside. Nonsense, how could a human-faced night owl attack leave a body behind? No, Brother Yang, it's impossible for the human-faced night owl to eat their tents and everything else, right? There's nothing in their camp, and with so many monsters dead, not a single piece of equipment or materials has been seen. Hearing this, Zhu Daong, who was still gloating about his misfortune, his face darkened. Come on, follow me in and take a look. After Zhu Daong led people to the mountain Col, his face turned livid when he looked at the traces on the ground. From this look, it seems that he packed up carefully and then left calmly. Looking at the mountains of corpses of night owls with human faces piled up around him, Zhu Daong's face turned even darker. Not only did Yan Quan and the others survive, but they also seem to have made a fortune. There are so many human-faced night owls, and the things they explode will be enough for them to work hard for at least a year or two. When his opponent is happy, he will naturally become unhappy. Damn it, how could that bitch Yan Quan kill so many human-faced night owls? There are tens of thousands of them. Brother Yang, was it possible that an 8th level professional passed by last night and helped them? A younger brother guessed. If you want to kill so many night owls with so many faces, only professionals above level 8 can do it. And it won't be easy. 8th professional. Other than Yan Quan, who knows Zhao Chuandong, which level 8 professional would help him? But it's better to let him save his life this time. I'll kill him myself. Zhu Daong looked towards the direction entering the inner layer of the abyss and said sternly. Chase me. The other side. After Suren and his party walked for several more hours, they finally came to what looked like a huge black wall. The entire wall towers into the sky, with no end in sight. Moreover, the left and right directions are all extensions of this black wall, and there is no end in sight. Master Su, we are here. We can reach the inner layer of the abyss through this teleportation array. Suren looked at the black wall in front of him and said doubtfully. You call this a teleportation array? This is too big, and whose teleportation array is standing? Of course, you don't think it looks like a wall. It's actually a teleportation array. Of course, you can call it a teleportation wall. How tall and long is this thing? Suren asked after looking up. Yan Quan shook his head and said he was unclear. No one knows how tall or long it is. It seems to extend infinitely and has no end. We don't know much about many things about the abyss. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to passively defend the city. Let's go, you have to follow us closely. If you go to the wrong place, you will be teleported to a different area. A group of 6 people lined up and walked in from the same position in the wall. The moment he stepped into the wall, Suren immediately felt dizzy. This is the feeling you get when riding a teleportation array. No wonder they call this thing a teleportation array. Countless rays of light quickly retreated, and 6 people stood motionless inside. After about 3 minutes, Suren's feet successfully stepped on the ground. I didn't expect that the distance between the inner and outer layers of the abyss is so far. Even the teleportation array takes 3 minutes to teleport. Suren glanced behind him, and there was an identical wall here. No longer looking at it, Suren looked forward. There seems to be no difference between the inner and outer layers of the abyss. But the sky here is darker and the atmosphere is more depressing. Humans obviously can't stay in it for long. If you stay here for a long time, you may have a mental breakdown. Master Su, let's go to the location of the first monster closest to here. The journey was uneventful. After about half an hour, a few people came to a valley. The valley was so wet and dark that nothing could be seen clearly. However, Yan Quan took out a marked map and looked at it. After confirming it, he said to Suren. Master Su, there are two abyss scorpions in this valley. Their bodies contain the evil hearts you need. Let's go down there. Monsters like this usually hide in caves. We can't find them unless we go down. Okay, just lead the way. I'll take action myself later. Yan Quan nodded, led a few people to find a path going down the valley, and then walked down the road. The fog in the valley is thick and poisonous. Yan Quan bought poison-proof pills before setting off. At this time, everyone had one in their mouths, and they were not afraid of the poisonous mist. Roar! At this time, a roar sounded from the depths of the poisonous mist. Everyone was shocked. Yan Quan frowned and said after hearing the roar, "This is not the cry of the abyss scorpion, other monsters have entered the valley." Boom! Another loud noise came, and a lot of the poisonous fog in the entire valley was dispersed. The echo kept reverberating in the valley. Go over and have a look. After Suran finished speaking, he rushed in immediately. This is related to his career change materials. If they are snatched away by other things, then I don't know how long it will take to collect them all. When Yan Quan and others saw this, they also hurriedly followed. In their opinion, no matter what danger they encountered, they were definitely safest by Suran's side. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 328. Roar. Another roar came, followed by the excited sounds of a group of people. Hey guys, work harder, these two monsters can't hold it anymore. Ha ha ha, I'm going to make a fortune now. A monster close to level 800 is still at the leader level. Damn, someone's coming. At this time, the figures of Suren and his party appeared outside the mist. In front of him, a huge tiger-like beast was entangled with two abyss scorpions. Both sides were several meters tall, and the entire valley seemed to be shaking when they were fighting. Behind the tiger, more than a dozen people wearing uniforms were assisting the tiger in attacking the two abyssal scorpions. These people are all blonde and have pale skin. Yan Quan and the others said that this abyss connects all countries. Unexpectedly, they met this group of beautiful Chinese people just after they arrived. This group of beautiful Chinese people naturally discovered Suren and the others. However, the two abyss poison scorpions were about to die. They could not take care of Suren and the others for the time being, so they had to shout back. People from the Dragon Kingdom, we are hunting, you'd better get as far away from me as possible. The two abyss scorpions only had less than a third of their health left. They didn't want the monsters they had worked hard to defeat for a long time to be snatched away. Hey, this place is your home? If you tell us to leave, we will leave. Your young master, I still don't want to get out. Xiao Dao took out his long knife, obviously ready to take action. The same is true for the other people. This is Suren's prey, and they will not let these white-skinned guys snatch it away. Master Su, you don't have to feel guilty. There is no first come, first served rule in this abyss. Here, fists are the rule. Whoever has the bigger fist will have the right to own the monster. Besides, these white-skinned guys are not good people. They just robbed them. Yan Quan was afraid that Suren would feel guilty, so he reminded him. However, he still didn't understand Suren very well. When they took out their weapons and prepared to snatch it, Suren had already taken action. Suren grabbed the air with his right hand, and two abyss scorpions that were about to die flew towards them in the air. Bang bang. Two explosions sounded. Two abyss scorpions exploded, and immediately there was a piece of equipment and some materials on the ground. Suren grabbed his hand again, and two black hearts appeared in his hand. Evil heart times 2. Suren quickly put the two mission materials into the system backpack. The whole process went smoothly without any delay. It was completed without even the people on both sides reacting. Are you kidding? How could Suren give up what he wanted to others? Even if the King of Heaven comes today, Suren has already secured the task material. Seeing that the beak flew away, the group of beautiful Chinese people all glared at Suren and the others. They fought hard for nearly an hour, but these people from the Dragon Kingdom stole the chicken. How can you keep them from being angry? Yan Quan and others were still in a daze at this time, and Suren's movements were so fast that they did not react. Fuck, I was afraid Mr. Su would feel guilty and remind him, but I didn't expect that he would strike faster than us. But what kind of method was that just now? The two abyss scorpions still have at least a few million blood, right? Why did they die without saying a word? Yan Quan and others couldn't figure it out and stopped thinking about it. As for the boss, the method of taking action is naturally not something that people like them can understand. Sam, kill them. The captain of the beautiful country team roared. Then the tiger-like beast jumped up and headed straight for Suren. If the prey is robbed, he will never let these Dragon Kingdom people go. Court death. Suren shook his hand again. Boom. The tiger's body exploded in the air, and blood splattered from the remaining limbs. The whole valley suddenly fell silent. The air seemed to freeze at this moment. A group of beautiful Chinese people stared with horror in their eyes. The fighting beast trained by their legion died like this? This is a beast that can entangle two close to level 800 boss monsters on its own. In less than a second, he was killed by the Dragon Kingdom man. Damn it, is this Mr. Su's true strength? As expected of a person who can instantly kill a rank 9 expert with one strike. The City Lord's news is indeed reliable. Is that pet beast almost level 800? It can't even take one of Mr. Su's moves. Yan Quan and others were already stunned with shock. If Suren takes action against them, their fate may be no different from that of the pet tiger. Misunderstanding. I've given you the stuff, we'll leave right away. The captain of the beautiful country is also a smart man. He didn't have the guts to provoke such a strong person. Without waiting for Suren to reply, the team leader ran away with his men. Looking at the group of people escaping, Yan Quan asked. Master Su, are you just going to let them go like this? Do you want to? Yan Quan made a gesture of wiping his neck. Although Suren relied on his strength to scare these people away, he had completely offended them by stealing their prey and killing their pet beasts. There may be trouble if you don't silence yourself. The most important thing was that he recognized the clothing of this group of people. The uniform of the Michel Regiment of the beautiful country. The Michel Legion is stationed in the Abyss all year round and is also known as the Devil's Legion. There are tens of thousands of people in the entire Legion, and everyone is above rank 7. It is considered one of the most powerful legions on Blue Star. And the leader of the Legion, Michel himself, is a 5-star general of the beautiful country and a professional at the pinnacle of rank 8. The reason why he has been staying in the Abyss is to collect job transfer materials for him to advance to the 9th rank. It's just that no one knows how much career transfer materials Michel has collected. Forget it, it's just a small role. Suren didn't pay attention to him at the 9th turn. He had no interest in chasing after someone who couldn't reach the 8th turn. If you have this time, it is better to rush to the next monster location as soon as possible. Yan Quan nodded after hearing this. But he was still a little worried. After all, the Michel Legion had a good reputation. Although Suren was extremely powerful, there were too many people on the other side. With tens of thousands of well-trained 7th-level professionals gathered together, this is definitely a terrifying force. It is precisely because of this that the Michel Legion dares to run rampant in the inner layer of the Abyss. Wherever the army goes, there will be no grass growing. Well, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe the other party is just a small team coming to hunt this time, and the Legion probably didn't come. Yan Quan shook his head, took out the map and started looking for the location of the next monster. Captain, is that all? That dragon countryman killed Sam and stole our prey. The beautiful country team that escaped looked behind them with lingering fear, but the other party was not chasing them. However, they were still unwilling to do so. If this bad breath doesn't come out, they may not be able to sleep well in the past few days. The team leader's face turned cold and he gritted his teeth and said, "Forget it. Huh, how could it be possible? Go back to the garrison immediately and ask Captain Michel to make the decision for us. I don't believe those people from the Dragon Kingdom can fight against our Michel Legion. Steal my prey and kill my pet beasts. I will make them pay with their blood." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 329. Deep within the abyss, countless high-level abyss monsters are pouring into it. Why did the king call us to the land of the abyss? A monster with a bull's head and human body asked the surrounding monsters in confusion. I don't know. I just received the summons notice. At this time, a monster with 3 dog heads and a body covered in flames spoke with the middle head. I do know why. Why? Why didn't I know? The head on the left looks angry. Tell me the story. The head on the right has a kind face. The emotions shown by the 3 heads are different. The head in the middle said calmly, "The 4 kings are about to join forces to break through to level 900. It summoned us first so that we can protect the law and not be disturbed by humans. The second is to hold a celebration ceremony. The third is to unite all the people in the 4 major regions to attack human territory. Now, not only our evil land, but the people from the other 3 major regions are also rushing to the abyss." Hearing this, the other monsters looked shocked. I didn't expect that the 4 kings would break through level 900 at the same time. Did they get any chance? How could they break through at the same time? I don't know about this. It is said that there is a trace of inexplicable energy leaking from the unknown land deeper in the abyss. It was because of this energy that the 4 kings were able to break through. Oh? Can you elaborate? Hearing this, a look of greed flashed in the eyes of all the monsters. It can make 4 kings of more than 800 levels break through to level 900 at the same time. If they can get this energy, then wouldn't they also have a chance to break through to level 900? If you can be a king, no one wants to be a minister. The reason why they surrender to the 4 kings now is just because their strength is not as good as theirs. Once you have strong strength, it is not certain who will be the king. The 3-headed dog looked at the looks of the monsters and said disdainfully, "I know what you are thinking, but do you think the kings can let you get this thing? I advise you not to dream, otherwise you will be killed." Hey, just asking. Who said we were going to grab that thing? You better be. The monsters stopped talking and just went their separate ways. But only they themselves know what they are thinking. Suren and his party set off again and came to the location of the second monster, a huge cave. Yan Quan looked at the map and pointed to the cave. According to the map, there is a violent bear here. Upon hearing this, Suren walked in without saying a word, and several others hurriedly followed. A few minutes later, several people walked out of the cave. Strange, why didn't I see that violent bear? Yan Quan looked at the map again to confirm that he was in the right place. Brother Quan, will you be killed? Yan Quan shook his head. Impossible, there are no signs of fighting around. Brother Quan, could it be that the violent bear went out to look for food? I touched its nest just now, and there is still some residual heat. Xiao Dao said. It shouldn't be. It should be staying in the nest at this time. Everyone couldn't make up their mind, so they looked at Suren. Master Su, should we wait or what should we do? Suren thought for a while and asked. How far is the next monster from here? Yan Quan looked at the map again and said. If we go all out, It will take about 2 hours. What if you take a flying pet? We don't dare to ride flying beasts in the abyss. The target is too obvious and it is easy to be chased by abyss monsters. No need for yours, sit on mine. After hearing this, Yan Quan and others remembered Suren's powerful pet beasts. That kind of pet beast flying in the air is indeed not afraid of being chased by abyss monsters. If you take a flying pet, it will take up to 20 minutes. If you go fast enough, it may take less than 10 minutes. Suren nodded and immediately summoned the Ice Dragon King. Everyone, stand up. Captain Yan, you can show us the way. Several people looked at the majestic and domineering Ice Dragon King in front of them, and then jumped up after taking a careful look. Just standing on the Ice Dragon King's back made their hearts pound. The cold air that emitted from time to time made several people tremble with fear. Flying straight northwest from here, it's going to be troublesome. Suren didn't talk nonsense when he heard what he said. He activated the river god skill and the entire lake rose into the sky, leaving only a dry pit on the ground. Master Su, there are 2 abyssal crocodiles in the small lake below. They usually hide at the bottom of the lake. It is difficult for ordinary people to kill them. There are none in the lake, only some low-level abyssal fish. The Ice Dragon King soared into the sky as fast as lightning. Tens of thousands of 7-level career changers. So what? After hearing this, Suren didn't care. It's just a matter of 1 knife. Michelle Legion? Is it very strong? After hearing this, the Ice Dragon King burst into laughter. This was twice as fast as Yan Quan expected. Sit tight, Brother Long will take you to travel into the abyss. Yan Quan explained to Suren the structure and general strength of the Michelle Legion. Master Su, these are all members of the Michelle Legion. It seems that their legion is hunting in the inner depths of the abyss. Several people were shocked again when they saw this. As a guide this time, if he fails to complete the task, he will definitely be scolded by the city lord. Yan Quan bowed to the Ice Dragon King and said. Suren casually glanced at the people below. What? How is that possible? Perhaps the enemies that they thought were too powerful to be provoked were probably no different from ants in Suren's eyes. Being scolded by the city lord is actually nothing. If this offends Suren and leaves a bad impression in the other party's mind, it will be really bad. This may sound contradictory, but this is the doubt in their minds now. After seeing it, Suren smiled and said, you don't have to be so afraid of it, it won't hurt you. What kind of method is this? They discovered that the more they knew about Suren, the more mysterious he seemed to be. Along the way, Yan Quan and the others didn't see the monsters they were talking about. Instead, they saw many beautiful Chinese people wearing uniforms. It shouldn't be, the map won't be wrong. Seeing that Suren still looked calm, Yan Quan had to sigh. The group of people we just robbed are also members of the Michelle Legion. I and others collected so much equipment and materials last night, it would be a bad thing. Don't hang around in the abyss anymore. Yan Quan looked at the map in disbelief. This was indeed one of the points marked on the map. The Ice Dragon King was very fast, and after a while he could no longer see the figures of those people. Sure enough, powerful people think differently from them. The Ice Dragon King flew everyone all the way, and it only took about 5 minutes to reach the destination. I have to admit that sometimes the gap between people is wider than the gap between people and dogs. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with 1 knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 330. Master Su, Brother Quan, I'll go down and take a look. The knife jumped off the Ice Dragon King's back. He is smart and careful, and has keen observation skills. Suren also directed the Ice Dragon King to land on the ground at this time. At this time, Xiodao was lying on the ground carefully looking at something. After a while, Xiodao walked up to everyone. Did you find anything? Yan Quan asked. He is more anxious than Suren now. Brother Quan, Mr. Su, I found the footprints of the abyssal crocodile. They went all the way north. The soil near the lake was relatively soft, so Xiao Dao immediately discovered the footprints and followed them for a while before confirming the direction. Going north. We humans generally don't dare to go to this place in the far north of the abyss. It's also called the abyss. The monsters there are all extremely powerful and fierce. At this time, another person in the team said, Brother Quan, have you noticed that we didn't encounter any monster attacks all the way here? At first we thought it was the Michel Legion that was mopping up nearby monsters. But, if you think about it carefully, it's impossible for them to kill every area, right? The violent bear is not in the lair, and neither is the abyssal crocodile here. Do you think something big happened in Jiyuan, and all these monsters ran to Jiyuan? Hearing this, Yan Quan frowned and thought for a while. Meeting the human-faced night owl in the outer layer of the abyss last night already made him think that something was happening in the inner layer of the abyss. Combined with what his brother said, maybe there is something big going on in the abyss. Master Su, do you think we should go to the abyss? If they were left to go by themselves, they would definitely not dare to go. After all, they know very well what their strength is. Not to mention the monsters in the abyss, even the leader monsters they were going to hunt today were not something they could deal with. If Suren wanted to go, they would dare to follow him. Of course I'll go. Just keep them together so I don't have to run around. Suren looked fearless. He was even happier that these monsters could gather together on their own. 80 evil hearts, if they want this search method, they don't know how long they will stay here. If it can be done in one go, not only can it fulfill Zhao Chuandong's instructions, but it can also complete the task of collecting materials at once. Why not? When several people heard this, they smiled inwardly. Only Suren could be so indifferent. Even if their city lord Zhao Chuandong came today, he would never dare to lead them to the abyss. There is basically no difference between that and committing suicide. Master Su, shall we walk or take your pet? Come up, I'll take care of everything, you don't have to be afraid, just stay with the Ice Dragon King. Suren knew what they were afraid of. Now that the destination is clear, there is no need to rush on foot. As long as you go all the way north, the chance of getting lost is very low. Okay, okay. The group set off again and flew northward. Michel's corps is stationed in the main camp tent. A 2-meter-tall giant man was sitting on the main seat in the camp, listening to the cries of his men. Okay, that's enough, it's just a few people from the Dragon Kingdom. Go down. The squad leader heard this and had to retreat. Usually their leader is the most defensive, but today's performance is so different from usual. But he didn't dare to disobey his captain's order. After the team leader exited, Michel looked at the capable officers on the left and right sides. I heard that the 4 kings of the abyss received a unique and mysterious energy, which gave them the opportunity to break through to level 900. What do you think of this? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the camp was in an uproar. It was possible for several level 800 plus abyss monsters to break through level 900 energy at the same time. Definitely something they dream of. Mr. Michel, is this really happening? Is the news reliable? We must get this. Yes, if our beautiful country can possess this thing, it will definitely dominate the world. When the time comes, the Dragon Kingdom can be destroyed with just one hand. After Michel waited for everyone to discuss for a while, she pressed her hands and said, "Quiet. This matter can be confirmed to be true. At this time, the monsters in the 4 major areas have rushed to the abyss to protect the 4 kings. Master Michel, what do you want?" "Yes, the purpose of why I asked you to come is to help me get that mysterious energy. Since it allows the 4 kings to break through, it will definitely allow me to skip the job transfer task and break through to rank 9. Michelle's eyes burst into unprecedented light. He has learned a little bit of the truth about this world. Job transfer temple? Huh, without you, I can still break through 9 jobs. However, this move naturally aroused doubts among others. Changing jobs through the job transfer temple is already a memory engraved in their DNA. Is there really any energy that can ignore job transfer tasks and break through 9 jobs? However, seeing their leader swearing so confidently, they were also a little shaken. If true, this is definitely breaking news. Lord Michel, even if the news is true, there are many monsters in the abyss and they are powerful. Although our legion has tens of thousands of people, if we really want to fight with the opponent, it will be difficult to win, and there is a danger of the entire army being annihilated. Michelle shook her head. Colonel James, if 10,000 deaths can be exchanged for ignoring the constraints of the job transfer temple, I think it is worth it. As long as we can master that mysterious energy, no matter how many deaths we die, it doesn't matter. There is an old saying in the Dragon Kingdom, which is that one general succeeds and 10,000 bones wither. Without sacrifice, how can we create a new future? I, Michelle, will either become a criminal of the Federation or a hero of the Federation. I have made up my mind, you don't need to persuade me anymore. At this time, Michelle was already a little crazy. He has been trapped in the pinnacle of rank 8 for more than 10 years. He has been trapped for so long because he has been unable to collect materials for rank 9. This time he was asked to find another way to the 9th turn, and there was no way he would let this opportunity pass him by. Yes, Sir Michel. Seeing this, everyone could only nod in agreement. I'm afraid not many of their legion will survive this time. Well, please let me know. At 9 o'clock tomorrow, the entire army will set off. Anyone who disobeys the order will be killed. If anyone is timid before fighting and runs for his life, behead him. Those who spread rumors and shake the morale of the military will be killed. Iron-blooded orders were issued one after another, and all the generals in the camp knew that there was no room for maneuver in this matter. Michelle was determined to break into the abyss, and they would be punished if they tried to persuade her. News of the mysterious energy appearing in the abyss was quickly disseminated by the Michelle Legion. Their purpose was naturally to allow people from other countries to attract firepower for them. In this way, Michelle can have a greater chance of capturing the mysterious energy. After the news spreads, suddenly, all the human professionals in the inner layer of the abyss rushed towards the abyss like crazy demons. Being able to ignore the energy bound by the job-changing temple is an existence that all professionals cannot ignore.